Every brand tells a story. And they are the storytellers. The Sutradhars. They present a brand with band, baja and barat to you. They are the Brandwallahs. He heads marketing for an iconic Basmati rice brand. Kunal Sharma, head of marketing at KRBL Ltd, the makers of India Gate Basmati rice. With over 15 years of experience across top FMCG giants like ITC and Dabur, Kunal has been instrumental in steering India Gate's shift towards a future-ready omnichannel brand. From data-driven digital campaigns to immersive retail experiences and influencer-led storytelling, he has redefined how India Gate connects with its consumers. He is our Brandwallah.
How people relate to rice in, say, a Delhi or in a UP would be very different from how people relate to rice in the South. The success of every brand or organization depends on how much you respect your consumer.
Hello and welcome. You're watching the Brandwallahs. I am Krishnakumar and we are in conversation with Mr. Kunal Sharma, Head of Marketing at KRBL Ltd, the makers of India Gate Basmati rice. Kunal, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on the Brandwallahs. Great to have you here on the show. I'm going to begin by asking you a very simple, straightforward, obvious question. How do you market rice? What is the communication strategy? It is the most ubiquitous thing in households across the length and breadth of the country, irrespective of whether rice is a staple or not. There is rice that's bought by Indians from north to south, east to west. How do you market a branded version of rice?
A very, very interesting question that, a lot of people have asked me about. And, rice, as we all know, while it is a relatively lower involvement kind of a category, but in India, food is an emotion, as we all know, right? And that's the fundamental truth that we work on when we talk about marketing rice. Gone are those days when in staples, people used to talk about the functional benefits of, say, a packaged rice or a brand over, in a commodity space. What we have built our strategy on essentially is to build an emotional connect with consumers. And over the years of decades of communication that you will see us do, that's the anchor that we have tried to kind of build back. And we've talked about some of the functional benefits that India Gate brings to the table versus other products available in the market. In our case, we talk a lot about aging, for example. And we had a campaign which ran for almost 5 years, which spoke about that through the campaign called India Gate, India Ki Purani Aadat, which actually amplified the product benefit into the communication. And, that's how we tend to, look at rice.
And the campaign also aged very well along with the rice, I'm guessing.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm saying that's the vector that we look at. And I see that going much more forward in terms of communication on how to build in the emotional levers in this category. Right? But having said that, I think one of the important things that we've realized in the last 2 years is the fact that there is immense power in going regional in categories like this, right? So how people relate to rice in, say, a Delhi or in a UP would be very different from how people relate to rice in the South.
Absolutely.
Or even rice in the West. So over the last 2-3 years, we've spent a lot of time talking to consumers, understanding how they relate to rice as a category and how we can use those insights to be built into our communication and our larger strategy.
Okay, now that we're talking about different regions, I'm curious to know, what is your biggest market? Technically, the South consumes more rice, the South and the East consumes more rice, if I'm not wrong, than the North and the West. So, where is the biggest competition for you? Which is the biggest market for you?
It's quite an interesting facet of our business that you'll get to know. Unlike what most people perceive, that Basmati is not very well penetrated in South, right?
Yeah.
But incidentally, Kerala and Tamil Nadu happen to be two of our biggest markets, right?
Wow.
So that's something which is very, very interesting.
How much of your business comes from Kerala and Tamil Nadu?
So
if I ask you a percentage.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at Kerala and Tamil Nadu broadly, they contribute to about 30% of our revenue.
One
India
third.
Market. Yeah.
That's the biggest chunk, isn't it?
That's a huge chunk. But let me call out one more thing here. When I look at the opportunity in India, if you look at the Hindi-speaking markets, if you look at North India, because Basmati is much more penetrated in this market, but
Correct.
people consume more of loose.
Unbranded
What is technically called Khula Basmati in India.
Correct.
So that then becomes a huge opportunity for us to really expand the market in the North. So while we continue to grow in South, right, one of the big opportunities for us is to really drive conversion from loose to packaged in this category. And that's actually our source of business for growth.
Very interesting. The reason why I was surprised about the fact that 1/3 of your business comes from Kerala and Tamil Nadu, because there are so many local homegrown varieties of rice in Kerala and Tamil Nadu that gets consumed by people. Even for biryani, for example, in Tamil Nadu, they use a particular version called Siraga Samba rice, which is short grain rice for the Tamil Nadu specific biryanis. And in Kerala, you have the red rice or matta rice, as it's called. So the consumption is largely the local varieties of rice. How do you tell them to start consuming Basmati?
Absolutely. So, a very interesting point. Let me delve a little bit into our strategy hence. When you look at South as a market, we enjoy about 70% plus market share in that market, right, as a brand. There is not too much of loose consumption of Basmati that's also happening.
Okay.
So, when we sat down to kind of define a strategy for that market, we realized that and we heard from consumers that in more in the urban areas like a Chennai or a Bangalore or a Hyderabad, we started seeing that people have started using Basmati for some of their South Indian dishes too. For example, things like lemon rice, mint rice. People are experimenting in using that, because it gives a better sensorial feel because of the long grains versus the regional rices. So this experimentation is something that, we started picking up. So we realized that if we have to grow in that market, then we will probably have to look at expanding the relevance of Basmati, not really limiting to only biryani usage. And that's where, basis a consumer insight, we started a movement where we started nudging consumers to experiment with Basmati in different kinds of dishes, right? And that's a campaign which we've been running in South through influencers, through chefs, essentially for the last 2-3 years. And we are seeing a good movement on that, which is essentially leading to growth in those kind of markets.
While we're on the topic, before we move on to talk more about the branding and marketing aspects of rice, I'm curious to know, we are in the extremely health conscious age, and there is so much talk of eating foods that have low glycemic index, and you're already seeing rice hitting the market with like low glycemic index rice and all that. Is that also something that you work on?
So what we've done is that we've created another brand within our portfolio from KRBL, which is called India Gate Up Life. Now this brand has gotten into play with a new category, and this is a new foray for us. We've gotten into the healthy edible oils market. With the brand India Gate Up Life, we've gotten in two variants of healthy blended oil. Edible oil, and though the aspiration for us with Up Life is not really to get into edible oils, it's to create a platform solve for young India who wants to be healthy. So if you look at health, and you very rightly put out that health is the next thing in India. We are seeing a lot of trends where health is going to be very big going forward. But there are two types. One is, and when I talk from a very consumer lens, once a consumer reaches 35, 40, and their body starts, giving them signals, that's when they start reacting and taking some healthy steps. But there is a trend that we are picking up that people even in their 25s, 20 to 30 now, with stress increasing, with a lot of lifestyle diseases coming to play, people are looking at taking preventive steps, in all that they eat and consume. So I think this brand UpLife is essentially for that cohort. The younger India, we are going to be partners for them in all kind of, helping them stay healthy, right? So with edible oils, we've done that, but also some of our rice products, like we already have a brown rice, right?
Right.
This, along with some of the things that you talked about, low GI rice, red rice, black rice, this entire range is going to reside under this umbrella. And we really see this growing leaps and bounds in the next few years, because that's a trend that we can very clearly pick up, that India is moving towards being more healthy.
What is the best, TV advertisement / brand campaign that you worked on that you thought hit the nail in the head?
Okay, so this is a tough one, because when you ask something about campaigns you worked on, so I'll take the liberty of mentioning two. Yeah, one is the whole new pack launch that we did, and we did this, like I said, in a very impactful manner. We didn't use television at all for that.
Oh, interesting. So what did you use?
So we launched our new packaging in India like how you launch a Bollywood movie or a Tollywood movie in India, bringing in the fact that, and then the idea was around a Fata poster Nikla star.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we created a lot of pre-buzz around it, as if some new star is getting revealed, and we had, directors like Karan Johar, who kind of created a pre-buzz, and there were a lot of conversations, what's coming, is there a new star on the block? And post that pre-buzz phase, we really revealed our new packaging through outdoor, digital, influencers, and we did a lot of innovation. So just to give you a case in point, incidentally, Mahakumbh was also happening at that point. It was a huge congregation. So we set up 2 life-size, kind of hoardings there, life-size, packs there. And, that got us immense attention, because the pack was getting launched. So I think the way we did it, the whole concept in a category which is otherwise very low involvement, as I've said, I think that's one of my favorite ones. The other one is one close to my heart. So when I was growing up, post school I used to go to my grandmother's place because my mom was working, and my grandmother had this philosophy where she said, whatever is there on the plate, don't waste it. You have to finish every last grain. Right? We all know in India that hunger still remains a very big problem, and as a food brand, we can only meaningfully contribute there. So we started this initiative called Grains of Hope, where we ran a campaign where we tried to get the movement of people to contribute to supporting dreams of children, because food is central to supporting the dreams of children. If they don't get food, food is the fuel for their dreams. So we did a campaign around Independence Day last year for the first time called the Grains of Hope campaign, where we urged people to contribute, to take a pledge, and we on their behalf contributed a meal for children through and we have a kitchen in our Ghaziabad factory where we feed about 15,000 children every day. So this is an initiative which is very close to my heart, and I believe that as a food brand, and I urge all food brands to actually participate in these kind of movements, which kind of serve a larger societal purpose. And interestingly, if you look at how consumers are seeing brands today, there are two very big trends. One is the trend on going back to the source, how well sourced is the product that you're giving the consumer, and the other is the fact that how are brands playing a meaningful role to society or giving back to society. I think in the future, the newer audiences that we will talk to, these are going to be two very important things that people will, and brands who talk about this or walk the talk are going to be brands which people will resonate with much better. So I think these are two ones that I want to talk about.
What is that one classic advertisement or brand campaign or marketing campaign, although you wouldn't have called it when you first saw it, what is that one advertisement that inspires you and has stayed with you and continues to inspire you to do what you do today?
So I think one brand that I continually look up as inspiration is Surf Excel. Very, very, as a brand, operating in a detergent category, we all know how fragmented it is. We all know how price punches that category is. For a brand to stand up and call Daag Achhe Hain is something which was a fantastic move, I feel, because as a brand, it started with Lalita ji back in the 90s, where she came across as the voice of the lady who makes her choice, right? Which was very functional and rational. When the brand realized and it moved into a space where it started taking a higher order stance and talking about how Daag is good, right? It's a very contrast stand in a category which is known to cleanse clothes. So,
and advertise the fact that they can make everything extremely clean.
Yeah, absolutely.
And fast.
And the good part, see, two things that I feel when brands make these choices. One is that it should be a fertile space, so they can extend into any kind of moment marketing, any kind of festive in India or globally, wherever. So one, that's a very good thing that they were able to do. The second thing is the linkage back to the product, which is about Daag, and Daag is core to what the product solves for. So I think, and they've been doing it consistently. So I think ticking all the boxes, and I look up to that brand for what they do because of this, and as a source of inspiration. And some of that is actually flowing into what we are doing now. So as I'm sure you would be aware, we've just taken on Mr. Amitabh Bachchan as our brand endorser. This was an idea which was kind of co-created by us and Mr. Bachchan himself, because he felt very strongly about it. So we launched this new campaign about Indian values and how Indian values are critical. How this all started was the fact that we all know that when food happens in India, people come together over food, right? But we took this to a different level where we said that when people eat together, values get transmitted. And as India Gate, we always felt that as a legacy brand, we could have the position of talking about Indian values. And who better than Mr. Bachchan to talk about Indian values in his own way? So I think this whole piece is something that we're trying to create as that whole Surf Excel property that I talked about. So this is where we intend to take the brand into a very different level. Initially I spoke about how Staples has now moved from a very functional conversation to a very, laddered up, emotional, societal impact kind of conversation. So that's how we see a brand of our stature really moving up.
What, according to you, is the big buzz as far as the world of branding and marketing and advertising is concerned, from where you sit?
Sure. I think 99 out of 100 marketers would tell you AI is what the buzz is all about.
Yeah.
And I won't disagree with it, but I have a slightly different point of view. I think what's going to be increasingly relevant in a cluttered world today is the brand storytelling is. How brands are going to really connect with consumers through storytelling. I mean, be it in the quirk zone or be it in the emotional storytelling. I think that is very critical. And as brand marketeers, I think, given all that is happening today, there is always a temptation to kind of sway away and get swayed by fads, I would say. To stay true to the core of the brand and to build storytelling through that, I think that's going to be a differentiator in today's space for brands.
Okay, you think so? For you, that is a big buzz and not AI.
And not AI. Yeah.
What, according to you, is overhyped, spoken too much about in the world of branding, marketing, and advertising, but in reality is actually quite blah?
Sure. I think what is spoken about is the role of digital. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that digital is one of the mediums which are going to it's like a second screen. I feel marketers are overhyping digital as a medium from the point of view of the role or the impact it has on the brand, right?
Okay.
Purely from the point that it should be seen as one more medium which is relevant today. There could be one more medium which comes in. Digital is here to stay. It's one of the mediums. The hero still remains what you are saying there. It's not really the medium. So I feel the medium is getting overhyped versus the content that you're putting out on that. So my take on that is that. Yeah.
What is the one thing about your job that you love the most? The one thing that motivates you every single day to wake up and come to work, and the one thing that you really enjoy the most, what would it be?
Sure. See, the one thing that I like about the job that I do is the fact that I get to unlearn everything that I've learned in the past. You can be challenged by anyone. So you have a young management trainee coming in, and something that he says can actually challenge someone who has 20 years of experience in the industry. So I feel that's what is absolutely fantastic about this role. You're never doing the same thing every day, right? You're looking at different things, you're doing newer things, you're getting constantly challenged by different people. I think that is the best part of my job.
What is the one thing about your job that you don't like at all? The one thing about your job that you detest the most? We don't use the word hate on the show. Hate is too big a word. So I'm using the word detest or not like. So the one thing about your job that you don't look forward to.
No, I think that's an interesting one. And when I think about it over last 15-20 years, I've got the good opportunity of shooting with a lot of celebrities. And when you do that, it comes with its collateral challenges of multiple people are wanting to be there on the shoot, which sometimes becomes very difficult to manage.
Photograph chahiye,
photograph chahiye. And one to even get to the shoot, I want to be on the shoot. I have nothing to do on the shoot, but I want to be there. It's not only family, friends, office, everyone. So, managing those expectations is probably something which sometimes gets
Oh my God, I'm guessing this would have happened with the shoot with Mr. Bachchan.
That's the toughest one that I've had.
The whole world wants to be on the set where
Everybody
Mr. Bachchan is shooting.
My daughters, who's even 5-year-old, knows who is Mr. Bachchan. And even my father-in-law, so managing the spectrum of expectations is huge.
And you're like, let me go do my job and come back, please.
And come back.
Where do you see marketing going in the near future? Because let's not talk about the long-term future, because things are changing so fast. Technology is changing so fast. The consumer behavior is also changing. Consumer expectations are also changing really fast. What do you think are the immediate trends as far as marketing is concerned? Because once upon a time, marketing was just that one function in a company where their job is to create their advertisement and then that's it.
Right.
But today, marketing is an integral part of the growth of a company, the growth of a brand. So many CMOs becoming CEOs eventually. The role of the marketing head is completely transformed, especially in the recent past, isn't it?
So I think to your point on this whole fact that CMOs become CEOs, typically because I feel that's fundamentally because the success of every brand or organization depends on how much you respect your consumer. the CMO does that the most in the organization. It goes without saying. And they also understand the consumer the most. So what I feel is going to be more and more critical going forward is you'll see more and more CMOs transitioning into business roles and CEO roles. I feel that will happen essentially because of the fact that marketing is going to play a very important role in the growth of organizations and the growth of brands. We need to understand that in India especially, where there is a huge unorganized trade market, or general trade as we call it, it's very difficult for brands to get built only through interventions at the point of sale. Brands have to be, get built in the minds of consumers. And that is the key to success of a brand, right? So I think what will happen going forward is CMOs will continue to get more and more integrated into the growth planning of the organization. And I would see a chief marketing officer role to slowly and steadily transition into a chief growth officer kind of a role in the future. So, I mean, those are my 2 cents on how I see it happening. And I see that happening in most categories. So I really look forward to that kind of a situation when that happens, because then the role of the CMO will move from just creating advertising or talking to consumers to making a more larger impact in the organization.
Okay, we will leave it at that. Kunal, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here
Thank you,
on the Brandwallahs.
Pleasure talking.